If you watch TED Talks, one of the things that I'm sure you've noticed that's pretty remarkable is the quality of the presentations, especially considering that most of the people who do TED Talks are not professional speakers. Well, as it turns out, they get some professional coaching, at least in some cases. And recently in Inc. magazine, there was an article from one of the coaches, one of the people who have coached people who get up on stage and present their TED Talks. And what he came up with was 5 tips for PowerPoint slides that engage the audience. So he makes 5 points. I'm going to go through those 5 points with you, and I'm going to add some of my own observations as well. Point number 1, one idea per slide. One of the big mistakes people make is that they put a slide up there and they've got multiple ideas on a single slide. People oftentimes don't realize how difficult it is for an audience to sit there and absorb information that's completely new to them. So by putting one idea per slide, each of those slides allows the audience members to actually absorb the information on that slide. So a really basic rule, one idea per slide. Number 2, have a consistent color scheme throughout. Color is really important when you're presenting for several reasons. Sometimes we want the color to be coordinated with the subject matter. For instance, if we're talking about the Green Bay Packers, then probably yellow and green would be a sensible color scheme to have. But one of the things we want to remember is that colors have effects on human beings. Depending on the color, the human being has a particular response. Studies have demonstrated this. So there's an organization called Think Outside the Slide, which put together a nice table that shows the various colors that might be used and the actual human response to that. So as an example, black, the general feelings evoked with black is heavy, mournful, technical. Death is associated with black. Take a color like blue, and the tendency is to feel peace, tranquility, trust, confidence, and security. Little wonder that blue is used as a company color by so many organizations. Green, nature, environment, health. Red, passion, excitement, love, intensity, heat, aggression. Then there's yellow, optimism, happiness, idealism, imagination. White is associated with purity, reverence, cleanliness, simplicity. And it goes on from there. I'll give you one more. Orange, warmth, expansiveness, flamboyance. So we want to pay attention to our color scheme. Number 3, don't go for the first visual that comes to mind or even that you find. If you're using, for instance, a stock photo house, something such as Getty Images, you may find an image that is an appropriate one for the slide or for the idea you want to convey. But don't grab the first one. You really want to find the image that really hits the target. Remember what Mark Twain famously said, the difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. The same can be said of images. When you find the truly right image for the subject matter, you know it when you see it. Number 4, the best graph is a simple graph. So often people put a graph on a slide that is unreadable to the audience, not only because of the size, but because of the complexity. And even the simplest of slides, oftentimes, the audience doesn't get it. The presenter gets it because he or she is so familiar with the information that they think it's very simple. To them, it is simple. To the audience, it's not simple. So unless the graph is extremely simple and the audience is going to immediately get it, and don't even assume the audience is going to get it, what you really need to do is to point out to that audience exactly what the point that you're making with that graph, what they should be looking at, what the key number is, what the key inflection point is, or what have you. Because audiences just are not going to pick up on that. They're going to end up staring at that slide trying to decipher it. Really bad policy when presenting. Number 5, don't be afraid of blank slides. I'm not talking about a white slide, which looks like a slide that accidentally got in there that was supposed to have some kind of content but had nothing. I'm talking about a slide that maybe has a color, and that color is associated with the statement that, or the next section of the presentation that you have to impart, or even a slide that isn't technically blank, but it has just one simple word on it, It may be pretty diminutive. It might be in the upper right corner, it might be in the lower left corner. The idea being that we're making the slide very simple. That one word does nothing more than to cue the audience and, more importantly, you as a presenter to the next piece of material that you want to cover in your presentation. There are so many things to take into account when we are creating a slide deck, but right there are 5 tips that go a long ways towards making sure that that slide deck that you put together for your audience is one that will engage them rather than put them to sleep. Good luck with your presentation.